Welcome to Design Downtime, the podcast where we celebrate the joys of living a balanced creative life. I'm your host, Guy Siegel, a design director in Toronto, Canada, and I invite you to join me on this journey as we redefine what it means to be a successful design professional. Let's break free from the shackles of hustle culture and embrace the full spectrum of human experience, because life is too precious to be spent only in pursuit of productivity. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Cristina Lutcan. Cristina is a seasoned UX designer and community builder with a passion for design, community, and entrepreneurship. Her diverse experience includes projects with startups and large corporations, including recent roles at Slack and TELUS Digital. As the founder of UX Design Talk, one of the largest design communities in Toronto, she has empowered hundreds of designers to gain practical skills in a collaborative environment. Cristina also hosts the UX Curious podcast, where she dives into the applications of UX across various industries. Cristina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Guy. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. And today you want to talk to us about obstacle course racing.
I do. I think it's such a fascinating world, and it's been very interesting to dive into. So I'm pretty excited to talk about it.
I usually like to start with how you got to it, but I think before that, I'd love to get some sort of a definition of what do you even mean when you say obstacle course racing?
So I would say it in a way, it's running, but it's more fun. I think when you just simply run, you have to, you only do one thing. And I never found that extremely interesting. I really like to do things that are more adventurous, more exciting. So when I got into obstacle course racing, I'm like, oh, it's so nice. I can run and then I can crawl in the mud or climb a rope, or, have my friends help me out through a tunnel or something like that. So I found that aspect much more exciting because it's not only a straight line. There's different obstacles in the way that you have to overcome, and different obstacles appeal to different set of skills that you have to work on. So I really like I really like the concept of that.
Now we get to the real first question, which is how did you even get to that?
I think I kind of always had it in me, being quite adventurous. I started to do obstacle courses probably quite recently, but mentally I was thinking about them for a very long time. And the funny part is that I didn't know at that time, but I did my first, when I was young, I was doing summer camps. And at 14 years old, for my birthday, my parents gifted me with a ticket to a military camp, which I was actually very excited about because I knew that going to be so many fun things to do. So I think that was my first introduction to what it means to do obstacle courses. So even at that time, you would learn how to run in lakes, and you have to wake up at 4 a.m. and do things and meet up and find things in the forest. And I found it to be extremely fascinating. So I think starting from that time, I kind of chased similar experiences in my life. And when I moved to Canada, there are a lot of organizations that set up obstacle course races. And I remember running into Tough Mudder and reading about it. And I fell in love with it, but I was quite young at that time, and I felt like, oh, you have to be a certain type of person to do Tough Mudder. You have to be, there's a concept, I think, in the mind of a young child on how you should look like and what skills you should have. So from the moment I got introduced to it to the moment I ran my first Tough Mudder, I think it was a distance of about 9 or 10 years.
So what happened in those 9 or 10 years? Were you sort of working on yourself to get to the place where you thought, okay, now I'm ready?
I think to get to my Tough Mudder, to get to my first Tough Mudder, I needed a few things. And first, it was probably a little bit more confidence, but also you don't want to do it alone. So you have to build technically you can't do it alone. I think specifically for that obstacle course race, it's more fun to do it with other people. It's not competitive. The whole goal is to get on a track and help each other out and then finish and get a beer and a headband. So that's kind of the gist of it. So I didn't have the people that would be excited to do with me. And even for the first one, it's really hard to convince, when you're so excited. I'm like, oh, let's do it. I think a lot of people have that same mindset that I had when I was younger, that you should be a certain type of person or you should look in a certain way. So it was up to me to convince them that, we're going to be okay. We're just there for fun. So it took a little bit of convincing. And I don't think it was more about skill. I think it was more about convincing myself, but also bringing other people in with me so we can have a great time.
Tell me about that first time. How did reality match with what your expectations?
It was very muddy, which I love. I don't know what's up with that. I really enjoy that type of experience. And I think we can dive into it on how it applies to real life as well. Maybe that's why I have such a passion for it. But we had a great time. And I remember we were debating. I did it with 3 other friends. So we're debating on the length. So you can choose the length of the track. And we did the 10K. The shorter one was a 5K. And then there was a larger one as well. So I think at the 10K, I was kind of sitting there. I'm like, okay, I think this was easy. So I think I was running the track. I remember so vividly, I was running the track and I was thinking like, okay, this is not hard. It was very easy. Okay. That race, it kind of opened the eyes that anybody can do it. Literally, I can get anybody in and anybody can do it. And I don't have the same experience for other obstacle course races, but when it comes to this one in particular, literally anybody can do it. It's such a great time.
So you did your first Tough Mudder. It was way too easy for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
Obviously, you have to step it up to Spartan race. So I did my first Tough Mudder in September a few years ago. And because I was thinking, like, okay, this is great. I'm so great at this. The next one, it's an obvious step up. It should be a Spartan race, which happened the next May. That was quite traumatizing. So, the difference when me running Tough Mudder and thinking like, oh, this is so easy, and me running Spartan, and in the middle of it, I was just, it was, when you're in the middle of something, it's so difficult, and all your thoughts come to, what are you doing here? This is crazy. I can't do this. So it was just, if Tough Mudder was something that was fun and easy for the body, Spartan was a mental endurance because it's so difficult. And the main difference, I would say, between them, actually, there's a lot of differences, but Spartan you have to run it. We did it at Blue Mountains, which is a ski resort, right? So the first one you ran on flat ground, and the other one, just the aspect of running up a ski resort, up the mountain, it's just extremely difficult. So you have to train for it. And I also did a 10K there. That was very, very difficult. And I love endurance generally. So in Spartan, the part that I signed up for, it was quite competitive. So nobody can help you. And then if you fail an obstacle, you have to do a penalty. And at my level, the penalty was running an extra 200 meters. And I failed 8 obstacles, I think. So I did all of it. I did all the penalties, and I think at the end of it, it was quite a very difficult experience. But I think it was to the level, like, it was a testament to the fact that you should not get comfortable. I think different races require a different set of skills, and you can't just wing it all the time. You better be prepared if you expect it to be quite a difficult race. So I haven't done Spartan since, and if I do it again, I will definitely train for it.
So from a technical perspective, what are the obstacles that you find in a Tough Mudder versus the obstacles that you have in Spartan?
So Spartan is more upper body strength. Honestly, it's all about strength. You should do monkey bars. There's, I think, like four obstacles that are all about upper body strength. You should carry very heavy things. You can pull very heavy things. So it's all about your muscles. And, you have to have good form as well. Like, you have to be aware to have a good form, because if you lift something very heavy, you don't want to break your back or anything like that. Or, if you pull on something very heavy, you have to know how to listen to your body. And as opposed to Tough Mudder in terms of obstacles, it's more like, oh, let's crawl in muddy water. Let's cross a tunnel. We'll do some monkey bars, but maybe like one or two. I think in my first race, but there's a mud mile, which the whole mile was just mud. So you just walk through it, but it was just difficult because you have mud up to your knees. So it was more of a fun aspect to that. You didn't have to have that powerful body strength to be able to do that. Where a lot of maybe aspect of with water, when it comes to Tough Mudder, or there's a cold water plunge. There's crazy obstacle that is the electric eel. So you have to know how to go through it as well. So it's more easy to undergo physically, as opposed to Spartan, which is very, it's just physically taxing to your the muscles and the body that you have. Yeah.
What's your training regimen?
I don't really train. I feel like I don't know if I should feel guilty for saying that. I'm just active. I am just active weekly. I think I am very lucky, and I don't take it for granted. I've always been very athletically inclined. And I just enjoy the aspect of doing things when it comes to, say, if I run or if I do, it's just, and I think it's so ridiculous when I see some pictures from these events, and I'm dying inside, but my face, I'm just beaming with happiness. So I'm very I'm very lucky in that aspect, that I really enjoy that. It just brings me so much joy to run it, to do it with friends, and also to spend time with. To spend time with myself. I've always had an affinity of boundaries and learning about my limits and my boundaries, and I'm extremely fascinated when it comes to the mindset and how do we navigate life. And life is really a lot of obstacles coming your way, and it's such a parallel to the run. So every time I'm running and I run into an obstacle, and I can do a parallel to, like, okay, but if something comes your way in your life, how you're going to react to it? What will be your reaction? Are you going to give up? Are you going to keep going? So I love to put myself in those situations in a controlled environment to see how I react to difficult moments. And then I can translate that into my day-to-day life as well.
Is this something that you found yourself getting better at in your everyday life, handling those obstacles?
Yes, absolutely. I 100%. It's just the mental endurance and mental toughness, and we're not talking in an aspect of you have to be hard on yourself or harsh or anything like that. Actually, when I run these races, they give me the opportunity to understand what I think when these moments come along, and it gives me the opportunity to have a conversation with myself and kind of like a compromise. So yeah, I've definitely become so much better in dealing with real life situations. And I think because when I look at at obstacle course racing, you kind of expect what is coming your way and you're kind of like prepare for it. So you're, okay, you might think I can do it or not, but it really prepares you to the unexpected in your life as well. Because I think it reaches the same level of mental toughness in a way. Yeah.
You also mentioned that a big part, at least of the Tough Mudder, is a community around it. Is there also a community aspect in Spartan?
I would say yes, of course. You can run it with friends. There's different heats. You can do the open heat. You can do the competitive one. I would say personally, my choice will always be to do so. Between them, Tough Mudder is competitive. Between them, Tough Mudder is community oriented because that's the aspect of the race. So they don't give medals. I think they will start getting medals this year, but just for participation. So the whole idea is grab your friends, go get dirty, and make great memories, and we'll give you some stuff at the end, and that's it. For Spartan, however, and when, for example, it's triathlons or something like that, it's more individually inclined, and I like that because it's learning. Okay, it's learning about yourself, what you can do on your own. What are your skills? It just puts you face to face with yourself. I think the first, and it is quite. I was not competing to see like I'm the first or anything like that, but you're looking at time, right? You're looking at what was my time in finish? What is my time in my age group? Or what is, how many obstacles did I fail? So it's timed, so you can see your time at the end. You're kind of putting yourself face to face with your skills. And yeah, I really like that because I think your first competitive obstacle course race is the most difficult if you're not fully prepared for it, because you kind of see your time at the end and you're just, okay, I think I can do better. I was quite disappointed with my time in Spartan, but you always have to have a benchmark and you always have to do it to figure out your benchmark.
So you mentioned triathlon.
Yeah.
Are there any types of, first of all, are there any, more advanced or different obstacle course races out there?
Oh, 100%. So I always look at how can you elevate? And this is, I think, the idea of being a human being. I think this is why Olympics exist, right? You always kind of, I'm a competitive person, and I'm not necessarily competitive with others. I'm competitive with who I was yesterday. So how can I become better? And I'm having fun doing it, which I'm having a great time just having that realization. So yes, there are a lot of races to satisfy a person who craves this kind of excitement and this kind of, what we love doing. So yeah, there, from here, for example, from my level, my next race, I'm going to go back to Tough Mudder because I really enjoy it, but I'm doing the 15K. So it's the biggest route that there is. So I'm planning to complete that just in a few weeks. And then my next one, I really want to do a triathlon, which I haven't done. And then there are adventure races around the world, which was so fascinating to me to find out. And that is a different ball game when it comes to the things that you can do. So yeah, I love the fact that it has so much variety. I think just simply running, I don't think it satisfies my sense of adventure enough.
Okay, you have to tell me more about adventure racing around the world.
Yeah, so I just recently discovered that, and I think there were 2 events that so there is a movie that just came out. It's called, I think it's called Arthur the King, and that talks about adventure, like it's a whole experience about adventure racing. And then I ran recently, I think No, I was cheering for like a 10K race in Toronto here, and there are two people running with a canoe on their backs. So everybody was just so shocked. Like, why are you running with a canoe? So apparently they were training for an adventure race in Europe, and that requires training. So technically, an adventure race, you go to a predefined location, and then they give you a map. You have to know how to navigate, and then you have to reach a checkpoint or an endpoint in the fastest time possible using hiking, biking, canoeing. And yeah, you just have to learn, you have to navigate yourself based on the map on how to get there. And you should be the fastest team if you want to win. And it's quite fascinating. I think just learning about it and seeing that people actually do that, and it's been going on for a very, very long time. And there's events and competitions, and I think that's would be very, very fun to try it out.
That sounds quite fun, actually.
Am I convincing? Am I convincing you to give it a go?
I like the going to Europe part of it, though.
Yeah.
So you did mention triathlon, and it's something you would want to try in the future. That goes, I would say, skews a bit more into the quote-unquote boring racing part, where you have long stretches of the same thing. How is this sort of sitting with you?
The difference is that it's long stretches of three different things, which mixes it up. So I don't have to expect, and I think in a way, so a triathlon would be swimming, biking, and running. And if you enjoy two aspects of those and not the third one, once you do the one that you don't enjoy, you can look like, okay, I'll finish swimming and I can go, I'll run, and I really enjoy running. So you can motivate yourself to keep going, as opposed to saying running an ultra marathon, which should just go on forever. And it would be very difficult. I'm not saying it's not something that eventually I would not try out. Like, I would probably give it a try one day, but I think I love the variety and the mix and match. And yeah, I think it would be something that I would enjoy doing, because I wouldn't find it boring. I would just split it in three parts. It's just very easy to split, when you have a long stretch of something and split it in three parts. It's easy on the mind. I think we like to break things down in smaller portions in our daily life too, to be able to manage things. So I see that in the triathlon as well. I think it would be quite excited to mix and match.
Is this something you would be training for?
I would love to do it. So probably one of my next races would be a triathlon. I haven't started training, but it's something that I'm looking to do in the next few years. Yeah, for sure.
Is a marathon off the table then?
No, absolutely not. I have this philosophy of trying everything once in I would say in the measure of abilities, and yeah, the try everything once. I would say maybe try almost everything once, because there are things that probably it's not really great to try. But no, it's I would see it as something that maybe like a check mark that I would love to do. The whole aspect of being so oriented towards, I don't know how to say it, like maybe fitness or sports oriented, maybe sports oriented. You always want to try kind of different things and push your body to limits that you didn't know it had. Say, yeah, this year I ran my first half marathon, and I had a great time. I did not expect to have such a wonderful time. I was definitely not ready for a marathon, but I signed up for it with a few friends, and I had a very enjoyable experience, and I've learned more about my own body, and how, like, nutrition and what you should do during like 1, 3, 4, 5, and it was I really enjoyed it. So I wouldn't say that I think it would be something like one and done. I want to try it, and that's where it stays. I don't think I want to make it an integral part of my life. It wouldn't be something that it would make me that excited.
You're a community builder. How important is the community aspect when you do these races?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I would say it requires a level of leadership that I probably missed in my formative years. So you have to know how you learn so much about people. And as I mentioned before, people are afraid of what they don't know, but also a lot of people play down their own abilities. And a lot of people are not, they want to see somebody else do it first. They're not kind of like at the forefront, let me see, and then, let me try something new. So I think a lot of people are just kind of, I want to see somebody doing it first. And then if that person survives, then it's great, and I'm gonna do it. Because I've realized that even in my first experience, like in the first Tough Mudder, I convinced 3 people, and then the second we were like a team of 12. So, and I think this year we're kind of reaching 20. So you can see the fact that over time, you kind of say, hey, I did it. It was so much fun, and we should do it together. I think it's very empowering to do things that you believed you couldn't do. But, when I invite my friends and let's do a team, and I know a lot of them are reluctant because they are not confident in their own abilities, you have to know how to speak with their inner critic, and you have to know how to empower them and to show them, okay, it can be a different way from what you're thinking right now. Because say, as we talk about Tough Mudder, come on, everybody can crawl for a tube or something like that, unless they're claustrophobic, which means you can be there with them and talk them through to go for their biggest fears. So I really enjoy the aspect of community because you see people facing their fears, but also you are there so they're not alone. Yeah, and I love seeing my friends just being so, it's just discovering parts of themselves, and just at the end it's like, oh, this wasn't so bad, oh, this is great. So uplifting people, I think everybody needs a little bit of nudge sometimes, and it's great. I think it translates to any community and any aspect when it comes to empowering people to do something they're afraid of.
What fears did these races help you get over?
Yeah, I think the aspect of I think like I'm trying to I'm bringing myself back now into the middle of the race, and one of the things that were just playing in my mind, just I can't do it, this is too hard, I can't manage this. It's funny because I never actually had the idea of, oh, I should just like take right now and exit this course and not finish it. It's just the aspect of not finishing is incomprehensible. I cannot accept that. But the way of how do you deal with what's happening on the track? So the fears, I would say, if I would be more specific, in Tough Mudder, the cold water plunge, that is something, just it's a shock to your system, and that was quite fearful to do it the second time. So I actually trained before I did the second time around. I did a lot of cold water plunges, so I'm not shocked to the core, which is a very difficult experience. There is, as I mentioned, there's like the electric obstacle that you kind of get electrocuted a little bit. I'm not such a big fan of, being in pain generally. So, I think on that one, I was able to squeeze myself in so I can avoid the zaps. But yeah, when it comes to fears, it's just facing yourself, and in a way, like facing what do you think about yourself, and what do you think you can and can't do. And I think a lot of the times we don't like facing our weaker sides that come out in moments like these. And then when you are faced with those sides, you have to figure out how, what are we doing from here? Okay, let's finish it, or let's keep going. And how are you going to convince yourself that you can actually are able to go through with the race?
If there's someone listening to this podcast and they're considering participating in a Tough Mudder, what would you say to them to sort of get them over that hump?
Come join my team. I'll help you out. I would say have confidence in yourself. I think a lot of people just lack confidence because maybe the world around you told you that you can't do it. But if you think that you can, go on Reddit, read about experiences from other people, read about, learn about what experience do you have, see if other people that have the same experience, if they did it. And I guarantee you, literally almost everybody who put their mind to do it, they did it. If it's something that it's interesting, you can do it alone. If it's something that has been on your mind for a long time, you can always meet people on the route. We literally adopted a girl in my first year. We just ran into her, and then we just got her into the group, and it was such a great experience. You meet so many people. They're all very kind, all very nice, all very helpful. Even if you think you can't do an obstacle, there are always going to be people there to lift you up and to help you out, which I love the fact that even in your daily life as well, if there are obstacles, you're actually never alone. If you'll always be surrounded by people, and you can always turn around for help. So I will just go with a Nike slogan and say, just do it. That's it. You will definitely just do it for the feeling that you get at the end, and I guarantee you'll be so proud of yourself.
Cristina, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn. As you mentioned, I lead a design community in Toronto called UX Design Talk, which is on Meetup. I also have a podcast called UX Curious. So I love the fact that I'm balancing, the work-life balance. Actually, it's a really great extreme. Yeah, you can find those both, the links in my LinkedIn account. So yeah, come connect with me. And if I can, if you have any questions about what we've talked here today, I'll just be happy to talk about it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Guy. It was such a wonderful experience.
This is all for this episode of Design Downtime. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, I hope you enjoy your downtime.